from NYYU. We'd like to welcome you to the Yankees Farm Report. Los, we got baseball back, buddy.
About time, man. About time. It's been a long time.
I know. So, what are you most excited about in spring training that you've seen so far?
I think the talk of the town has to be Spencer Jones. I mean, as far as I know, I think he's only had 7 at bats from when I last looked, but he has been locked in. He's looked a lot better than he did last spring training.
He hasn't, I've only seen one strikeout, and he took it almost to a full count, or it was 2-3, 3-3, something, or 2-3.
The, the last time I saw, he had already seen like I think 40 pitches. He took 14 swings, and he had yet to miss at anything, which
Is
is
insane.
insane. Yeah, definitely.
It's just not what we saw last year. The concern last year was the strikeout rate. That's what, and the swing decisions. You and I talked about that all summer, all fall,
Yep.
all winter. And now he
Yep.
hasn't missed a swing yet.
Mm-mm. It looks like that the work he put in the offseason is paying dividends because he looks like a man on a mission right now. I mean he maybe he's trying to go through the same path that Jasson went through, but he looks tremendous right now, especially with that what did he hit 470-foot home run?
Yeah. And like his first at bat,
Mm-hmm.
did you hear the sound of that ball off the bat?
It was pretty. It was pretty. I mean, generating what exit velos of 114, 109. I saw before. I saw
Yeah.
some of those at bats. I mean, he looks tremendous.
Yeah, he sure does. Now, that brings a very interesting question. Your boy is way ahead of schedule. We
Mm-hmm.
got Dominguez or Jones looking great. How are we going to get all these guys on the field?
I mean, these things usually have a way of working themselves out, but for a part of me I know what I want to happen and I know what
Uh,
I think can happen. But I see that the Yankees may be holding off a little bit on Jasson, especially if Verdugo's playing well.
yeah,
Maybe not rushing him because if you've been following Jasson for a while, you know that Jasson is can sometimes be a slow starter. So
he
maybe the
can.
Yankees will wait until he gets going, and it's not like he can come off the IL until I don't remember what day it is, but I know it's the end of May. So maybe there's some time for them there as well. As
No,
far as Spencer Jones, I still
yeah,
don't think that you see him this year unless something has gone terribly
horribly
wrong
wrong.
or something has gone really well for him. Because like I said, as you just said, Dominguez is in front of him, Verdugo's in front of him, maybe even Grisham is in front of him as well. You still have Everson Pereira, so there's no reason to rush Spencer right now.
No, there's not. And he really has some things that he needs to prove in double A that he
Hmm.
can continue to keep making these good swing decisions, that the contact is there.
And not only
And
that, but he also needs to one thing, and we've spoken about this for many times, is when he goes into slumps, they tend to be prolonged slumps. You know, you
they
want
do.
you want to you want to see him be able to at least figure out what are they doing different against me now? How do I adjust? So it's not like a month-long slump, 3, 4 weeks.
See, the one big concern or difference between him and Jasson Dominguez, why I favor Jasson a little bit at this point, is Jasson, when he's not hitting, he still walks.
Hmm.
Where Spencer, that's been hit and miss, especially when
Hmm.
he's been in a slump. He hasn't really walked very much. If he
Hmm.
does that this year, I think he's on a Jasson Dominguez path, and we could see him in September.
Possibly, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
That I could definitely see. But like I said, there's no reason to rush him. There's no need for him to be up there, in the second half or anything like that. Only if there's a need, Verdugo's shits the bed, or same with Grisham.
right.
And there's just no place for him. I mean, unless, and well, I don't see it happening, but I don't know if something happens with Stanton regarding his
Right.
production. If it's terrible, that's the only thing that I could see, maybe possibly, but otherwise, it's probably going to be like a September call up.
Sorry. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that September call up would make sense. But the next guy that's making some noise is Jorbit Vivas.
Hmm.
You and I
He's
were
already hit
both,
2 home runs. He's already hit two
yeah,
home runs. He's showing some pop early on. I think last year he hit 12, 13. Definitely looks really good. I didn't know much about him until he was traded here. So he's completely new to me.
yeah, he's completely new to me. I didn't know much about him. I heard the Luis Ariz comps because of the bat to
Hmm.
ball skills.
Hmm.
You know, I see it. He doesn't have a lot of speed, but we really don't need a speed demon with Volpe and Jones and Dominguez and all those guys that
Mhm.
we're going to have who have tremendous speed anyway. So I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, that's not even a concern of mine at all. I'm
Yeah,
more concerned about with a guy that gets on base, a guy that has a lot of contact. He can play defense. I think Jorbit plays second and third base. I mean, and offensively, he's just looked really good. I looked at some of his numbers in the past in 2022 at high A. He had a 11% walk rate, an impressive 10% K rate. And then the same
yeah.
thing in last year in double A, he had a 11% walk rate and the K rate stayed the same, even though the level went up to 10.6%. So that's a tremendous amount of contact that he's making.
Now, do you see him as the most logical replacement for Glaber? Torres,
Well,
if we,
I was gonna say I like Sweeney. I did like Sweeney.
I did
But I
too.
think what the Yankees got back for him, I would slightly say the Yankees got off on that deal because they did
Yeah.
fill a need. You know, a guy that could play second and third base, a guy that's known for his hit tool, his ability to get on base, steal bases, and he has some pops. And if I'm being honest, especially with the way and again, I know it's very early. If I was Oswald Peraza, I would be worried right now.
I
I,
love
I
the
would be
guy.
worried. I
I
would
feel
be
so
worried.
bad for him.
I do
I
too.
do.
I absolutely do too. You know, I was a fan of Peraza. Still am a fan of Peraza, but I mean, right now he's not playing well. He made two errors in the first game, I want to say.
Uh-huh.
And now he's hurt. I think he was a scratch because of a shoulder pain or something like that. I don't remember what it was.
Shoulder tightness.
Yeah, so hopefully that's not too long and he can get back out there and he can produce. Because like I said, if Vivas keeps playing at the rate that he's playing at, and I'm Peraza, I would be worried.
Yeah, I think our boy Praz is going to end up on another team by, say,
Either
August
that
2nd.
or back to Scranton. Yeah.
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 So now we haven't seen a whole lot of Austin Wells, but
hmm
we've been hearing about him behind the plate, and
hmm
I'm still hoping he's our number one catcher.
So do I. I'm in agreement there. I know Trevino is out right now. I just want him to take
Right.
advantage of that time, get more comfortable and more familiar with the entire pitching staff, continue to work on his defense. I know right now I think he's 0 for 5 with 3 or 4 Ks, something like that. He hasn't I don't think he's been on base yet, and I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that right now.
No.
I mostly wanted to see him work on his defense and continue to build his relationship with pitchers.
Right. I think the most important part for him in spring training is just what you said, building that relationship. Wells is a
hmm
notorious slow starter. We saw that last year when he got called up. He was slow to adjust to a level. He always has been. But the one thing we know about the kid, we've known this since high school, is he can hit.
Yeah,
The
that's why I
guy
said I'm
can
not
just,
worried about it.
yeah, I'm
The
just
hits will
not.
eventually start dropping or going over the fence at some point.
Yeah. So what else have you seen this spring training that you're excited about?
George Lombard, again, it's only been one game. It got fans really excited. Some fans were talking crazy. It was talking about, oh, now we could trade Roderick. Um, I'm
I
happy for
saw that.
Lombard. Yo,
I
I'm happy for
saw
Lombard. I'm happy for Lombard. I'm glad he got into a game. Again, it was just one game though. It's just one game. Let's
right, but he
pump
he's
the
looked
brakes a little
pretty.
bit.
Actually, he got into two games. He played
Well, true.
defensively,
Yeah. Okay,
but
yeah, you're right. It's three
yeah,
at
but
bats.
he
How about that?
yeah. Pump the brakes, boys and girls. He
Yeah.
got a handful of games at low A,
Yeah.
and he was 17 when we drafted him. He's a couple years away.
I'm happy we got to see him.
Yeah, he looks
Yeah.
good.
Now let's do Roderick. Get him some at bats, please.
Please, because you and I have been saying for a while that their talent level is on par with each other. They are both
hmm
very, very exciting prospects,
hmm
but don't leave Roderick behind because that
Yeah, I
kid
mean
is
it's just
special,
crazy.
special.
George Lombard is the new kid right now. I guess flavor of the month. But just to say, all right, now we can trade Roderick to me is just crazy.
Who else?
You got Ben Rice. Early
Yeah,
on, he looked like the guy he was, pre-IL stint where it's patient, plate discipline, drawing walks. Haven't really seen the power. He's only got I think 4 or 5 at bats, so it's still very early. It's still very early, but
It
he basically
is.
looks like the guy pre-IL.
I gotta. I, I have struggled with Ben Rice since last year. You know this, going back
Mm-hmm.
and forth, trying to figure out what he is. And
Mm-hmm.
I said many times, and so have you, that you want to see it in another sample size. And
Yeah.
I got to see that power again. I think that the batting average can be 280 to 300. I have no
Mm-hmm.
problem believing that, but I
Mm-hmm.
got to see the power again before I believe it.
Yeah, I think the only concern is just, you want to see if what he did last season at Somerset, if it was just that he was locked in, or if he did make an actual adjustment, which led to the power increase. Um, I just want to see more of the same from him at Scranton because I'm ready to plug him in as soon as, if Rizzo is able to or is not able to step up, if he continues to have concussion issues, although it's been reported that he's said that he's been cleared, but
Yeah,
you never can tell with that.
I'm hoping Rizzo can be himself because if he is, that
Hmm.
lineup is just scary.
Yeah,
But
it's a very different lineup.
yeah, but as far as Ben Rice, I agree. I think that he could be very much in play for this year.
Hmm.
We just have to see what happens at first base. He might even be able to get some time behind the plate. We'll see what happens, but I think he's probably more of a mid-season if something goes wrong call up.
Yeah,
Had
we're in
some
agreement
pit.
there.
We have some pitchers that have debuted. Will Warren looked pretty good.
Yeah, he did. I think he pitched, what is it, 2 2 and 2/3 innings, 4 hits, no walks, 3 strikeouts, generated 6 whiffs. And it looks like Ron Guidry's taking him under his wing from what I've
Yeah,
seen.
I was excited about that. That's
Yeah.
cool. If I mean, they're both from Louisiana, they both have that connection. I
Hmm.
if he wants to take him under his wing, that's a heck of a mentor.
I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it. Like I said, for me, he was the guy. He is the guy to watch in this spring training because, I expect him to do some good things this year for the Yankees.
I do too. I think that basic stuff wise, from what I saw, the fastball didn't look as crisp as it did last year, but it's early,
Mhm.
so that's not
Yeah, so
really a
he
concern.
left. I think he left a few fastballs up in the zone, but otherwise the command otherwise did look good to me. He was able to paint the black a couple times.
Yeah,
He was getting strikes early in the count.
yeah. I'm excited for Will Warren. I don't ever think he's going to be a top of the rotation starter, but I think he can be a mid rotation starter and be really, really good at it.
Hmm. Agreed.
So we had some other pitchers go that we acquired this winter. Cody Morris, right? Or is
Cody
it Cody?
Morris, yeah.
Yeah,
Another guy. I didn't know much about him. I don't typically look outside of the system too much unless there's trade talks. Then I start looking at guys. But the Cody Morris thing was out of nowhere. In
yeah,
his debut, we threw 2 and 2/3 innings, 1 hit, a walk, 3 strikeouts. He did look good.
yeah. I thought he did too. He had some nice movement on his pitches. You could
Hmm.
see that there was a lot of good stuff to look forward to. I don't know
Yeah,
what
good
his
template
role
for
is
Matt
going.
Blake.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have any clue what this kid's going to be. Give him to Blake for 6 weeks, and let's see what he's going to do.
Hmm.
Um, Bryce Warrecker. Wow.
Bro, when I saw, I mean, I don't, to me, it's a slider. A lot of people calling them sweepers now. It's a damn
Yeah.
slider or wordy. It was, I saw it and I was like, what the,
Yeah. Whoa.
yeah, yeah, it looked amazing. They looked really tight. I don't know what the vertical on it was, but
It was
it
like
looked
27 inches or something. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, they looked insane and super tight. It was very impressive, and I watched the Pitching Ninja video at least a dozen times. I'm just impressed by it.
Yeah, so did I. And what's crazy is he was one of the last picks in the draft.
Hmm.
last year, and we're already talking about this kid in spring training for the Yankees in the first handful of games. I mean, if that doesn't scream how good their drafting and developing is, I don't know what does.
Yeah, and this was a guy that should have went higher in the draft, but he fell for whatever reasons it may be. There were some rumors about him, and by the way, we
Right.
did interview him.
Yes.
We'll be dropping that in a couple of days. So he does, from what I got from our conversation with him, he seems that he's pitching with a bit of a chip on his shoulder,
It seems that
and that's
way.
good. That's good.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I was excited by some of the things that he said talking to him,
hmm
and I think that he's going to be a key piece going forward.
hmm
I don't know what happens. It's way too early to say what happens, but the future looks extremely good.
Absolutely.
So who else did you see?
Chase Hampton closed out the last game. He threw an inning, a walk, a hit, two strikeouts. I think he was up to, I want to say 97. He got
Yeah,
six whiffs on 14 pitches. He looked really good. He pitched as expected.
I'm excited about him. He's why I am concerned, not too concerned about going and getting another starter. I mean, I
I
think,
am 1,000% in agreement with you. I don't need to I don't need to trade for Dylan Cease if it's going to cost me Chase Hampton. The hope is that Hampton becomes some version of that. But if
see
you have
that
that in-house,
that's what I think Chase is going to be is really close to what Cease is.
yeah.
I don't know. I just see a similar ceiling between those two.
I prefer my Yankees homegrown,
Yeah,
so I'm gonna roll with my guy.
that's the prospect guy in you, hugger.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna roll with my guy.
Yeah. So
The other guy, Luis Hill,
yeah,
how did he look for you?
the fastball was nasty.
hmm
There's still that. The slider looks okay. The changeup looks improved. The command looks a little like he still did in
Par.
AAA.
Hmm
Yeah.
I mean, it's the first outing. The fastball average 96. He topped out at 97. I'm sorry, 98.
Yeah.
Which is good. Which is good.
Yeah. I
Right before he went on the IL, he was topping out at 97. So there's a slight uptick there. He did strike
and
out
he
too. To me it was a fairly it was a good outing. He had the one blemish, which was a two-run home run. But
right.
outside of that, I mean, it looked good, especially for a guy who's bouncing back.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about him. He'll find a role. That arm is so live that he'll be a factor somehow. And he's got a good
hmm
live arm. The Yankees will find a way to maximize him. Now, one major league topic I wanted to talk to you about was this Blake Snell rumor going around. What are your thoughts on that? I know we've talked about this before, but it's getting later and later and later, and it's starting to make more and more sense.
I feel the opposite. I feel
Really?
the opposite. Yes, I feel like the later it gets,
Okay,
especially since I saw yesterday, I think was one of the Giants starting pitchers went down.
that's
Um,
true.
I mean, I don't know how he feels about playing over there. There's rumors about players not liking playing for the Giants for whatever reasons. Um, I'm still sticking to my guns that I believe that Cashman is going to roll with what he has until the season gets started, and then that way he can assess the lay of the land. Like, what are the needs? Does he really need to go out for another pitcher? And we've been hearing this for almost 2 years now about how much the Yankees like their pitchers. And maybe it says something that they kept Warren instead of over Thorpe.
Yeah, they did. And they've kept Warren through a lot of trades. I mean,
hmm
if you go back the last 2 years, they've traded a lot of pitching. And
Yes.
Warren is the one guy that they have kept who has been healthy when all the trades were going on. They haven't moved him. I think they really like him a
And he
lot.
conquered AAA. And he
And
conquered AAA when most of the pitchers were faltering. They were the over 4 ER, over 5 ERA.
right. And he was a mid three guy at AAA.
hmm
So he pitched a lot better than the average pitcher in AAA. I, I'm torn because I think Blake Snell makes us better this year. But anytime after that, I'm not sure that he does. and it's not
Yeah,
going to be a
and
1 year commitment.
I think that that's basically what you come to terms with. That yeah, absolutely, you get no argument from me. Blake Snell will make this rotation a lot better this year. I don't think there's any argument there. But for me, I worry about what happens after that.
Right.
Like me, I want to develop a core. I want to
I
be
agree.
perennial World Series contenders. I don't want to win one World Series and then be chasing it for the next 15 years, 14 years, whatever it may be, because you went for the one off, kind of like the Cubs did, right?
Right.
They went all in trading for Chapman, gave up Gleyber Torres and a bunch of other guys, and look at them now. Not saying that that's the Yankees, but I'm still hopeful that this organization can develop a brand new core. You already have Volpe, who just won a Gold Glove. You got
Yeah.
Austin Wells now. You got Jasson Dominguez. You have all these other guys coming up. Warren, Beater, Spencer
Hampton.
Jones. Hampton also there's a pool of prospects here which you can do that, which you can build a 26-man roster from with a significant
Right.
amount of homegrown players and be perennial World Series contenders for the next 5, 6 years.
I agree with that. I completely agree that we have the talent in the system. And we're not even talking about the kids that are lower, the Roderick Arias, the George
Yeah, I was gonna say
Lamar's, the Henry
we're not even
Lalanes.
yeah, we're not even talking about the guys who are gonna break into the affiliate and graduating from the rookie leagues this season where there's a lot of talent.
Yeah. And I know that everybody gets mad at us because we say, well, the draft picks and the international free agency money is a big deal. And while I want a World Series so badly, that IFA money, especially with the possibility of a draft coming, is something that is so huge. And trading for
Yeah.
$1 million in IFA is extremely difficult.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of Yankees fans don't realize, and maybe it's because they're pessimistic, maybe it's because they have PTSD, but
And I can't blame them for that because,
yeah, no, I mean maybe I'm spoiled. I've lived through what 5 championships or something like that,
yeah,
but when it comes to the IFA front, this is one way that the Yankees are able to compete. If you look at their top 30 right now, I think 19 of those players are IFAs.
right,
That's pretty much one of the ways that the Yankees stay competitive in that area, right?
right,
And even MLB execs, Baseball America just did the poll. MLB execs said the Yankees are the best when it comes to IFAs. I mean, this is the one way where the Yankees are able to get top talent, right? Because the Yankees are
right,
never going to draft within, the lottery picks of the draft, the first 12, 13 picks. The Yankees are probably never going there because the Yankees are a perennial playoff team. So the one way you mitigate that is by going out through the IFA front. You have your scouts, you go out there to DR, to Venezuela, to Mexico, and you find top talent. Guys like the Jared Turner, the Henry Lalanes, the Carlos Lagrange, the Roderick Arias, Jasson Dominguez, Francisco Velorio. That's how the Yankees compete. And if you start
right,
taking away money from that, I mean, look at this IFA. This IFA for them, they were down $1 million and change. They were at the bottom of the pool, basically.
right.
And over the next what 2, 3, I think over the next 4 years, the Yankees are linked to top 5 guys at least,
Top three
at
guys,
least.
multiple in each class.
Yeah, and another thing I just learned yesterday in He Who We Do Not Names class, the guy who's potentially a number two, he follows me, and I come to find out he's already linked to the Yankees.
Yeah, I saw that as well. And see, I was going back and forth on Twitter last night talking about this a little bit. And to me, if you're giving up the IFA money, it's like giving up a top pick in the draft.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. With the guy the Yankees have signed, he's number two or three in the class, depending on who you ask. And if we sign Snell, we would probably lose him. Well,
Yeah.
that's the equivalent of losing the number two or three pick in the draft.
Hmm.
And then you're going to lose the second round pick and the fifth round pick. We already had that problem last year.
Hmm.
I want to keep a continuous pipeline where we always have players coming. And if you
Yeah.
neglect that, it gets in a place where we were in the system a couple years ago.
Yeah, I mean,
I
look,
don't
for
know.
example, this year you had Diebo de los Santos, who was the number 8th ranked prospect in Baseball America's top 50 IFAs. think he signed for $2.1 million. The Yankees ended up losing out on him, couldn't sign him
Right.
because they didn't have the money. They also lost, I think it was Steven Martinez,
Yes.
$800,000. You're already looking at $3 million right there alone. Going into next season, the top guy we're supposed to sign, I'm hearing he's going to sign for around $3 million. That's over
3.2,
50% of it. Yeah,
3.4,
you're talking
something
about
like
already
that.
50% of your budget. So you need the
Right.
rest of that money, especially to sign the mid-level guys and the lower tier guys, your Kiner Delgados, your Henry Lalanes. You need that money.
Your Rob or your Oswald Perazzas, your Everson Pereira's, those were
Yeah.
mid six-figure
Well,
signing.
Perez, I think Everson was like 1.6 mil, I want to say.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. Peraza was like
But
300 grand.
yeah, those guys like that, you
Yeah.
need that money. You need that money.
Yeah. Well, what else?
Um, a couple other guys I did want to talk about. He debuted Jay Savina. I don't know if you got to see him
Oh
hit some
yeah,
doubles in his
he
debut. Solid debut for him.
that looks like a steal from Cashman to get that for
Hmm.
Bowers. I was surprised
Yeah.
by that.
I'm
He
surprised you
looked
got anything
real.
for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is a legitimate looking prospect, and he
Hmm.
looked good. The bat path looked good. There's some speed there. I
Hmm.
mean, we
Should
got a
begin the season in
legit.
Hudson Valley. He should begin the
Yeah,
season in Hudson Valley, so I'm excited. I'll get to see plenty of him. I know he does have some power, so he's an exciting kid. Actually, I think he's a top 30 prospect for pipeline for the Yankees.
yeah, he
But yeah,
just
definitely
snuck in
excited
the
to see him.
back.
Hmm.
Uh,
Another guy I did want to mention was Elijah Dunham. Dunham has looked more. He's actually gotten the most at bats this spring training, and he's looked like the guy that I thought he was going to be last year. Right? He's got a couple doubles, driving in some runs, stealing bases, playing all three outfield positions. I mean, I don't know where he fits going forward,
yeah,
but this is what I expected from him last year.
he was one of the most actually he was the biggest disappointment to me last year in the system because
Yeah.
I really thought that he could have had a chance to break in last year with as bad as that outfield situation got in.
Hmm.
I thought he was the perfect guy to do that. And he can play a little first base even too. So he could have
Hmm.
done that. He's got
I
speed, he's
thought he
got
was.
power. I like him.
Yeah, I thought he was going to win the fourth outfield spot. He plays very good defense. He's one of those guys that, he's diving all over the field. He's an excellent defender. He has pop. He has speed as well. Like I said, he just for some reason just faltered. I couldn't even put my finger on it. And then when he
No,
went back to AAA, he just looked lost.
he did. He looked absolutely lost, but he went back to double A and looked pretty good. And they say double
Yes.
A is more comparable for the hitters to the major leagues. So,
Hmm.
I mean, that gives you a little hope. If you hit it double A, you should be able to hit it the major league level. I don't know what Dunham's future is, but he reminds me a lot of a gritty Brett Gardner
Hmm.
with his speed, defense,
A little more pop. Yeah.
a little more pop. Yeah.
Hmm.
Who else?
You had Caitlin Durbin. Uh, I mean, there's really wasn't much to talk about him. I seen him strike out twice, which was a little surprising to me since how little he strikes out.
Yeah, I mean, he led the minor leagues in strikeout rate last year, something like 9%, and he
Yeah, something
strikes
insane
out.
like that.
Yeah, it was I don't know. I don't know what the future is for that kid, especially now that we have Vivas.
Vivas.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully he starts off at Scranton, and we see what he can do there. Just like you said, I mean, I don't know where he fits in.
Yeah, I just don't know. They have so much talent that they can, if they do well, there's trade chips here. So,
Hmm.
and that's important as well. Maybe that's what Durbin's role ends up being.
Possibly, possibly. I mean, that's always one way to help a team.
Okay.
The other guy, Everson Pereira, I mean, not the start that you want from him, especially since he needs to change Yankee fans' minds about him and take
Yeah.
advantage of the fact that Jason's not playing. I mean, the way I see it so far, he looks to be heading back to Scranton,
Yeah, he's going to end up
which could have
back in
been in
this.
the cards for him anyways.
I don't care how well his spring training went. He wasn't going to beat out Verdugo for that job. He
Yeah.
doesn't play center field well enough, and he ain't taking at bats away from Juan Soto.
Yeah.
So,
Like I said, that's what might have been in the cards for him anyways. But you just want to see him play well.
right.
Um, that hopefully he plays well and continues that at Scranton, and who knows what's next for him. But I mean, as of right now, he's another one. I don't see a path for him forward here.
No, but that's a great trade chip. You always need trade
Yeah.
chips, and that's
Hmm.
a phenomenal one. Now,
Yep.
one other thing I wanted to talk about was Anthony Volpe's bat path. We've seen that a
Hmm.
little bit. I'm excited about that.
Man, you don't know. We've been talking about this for so long,
I
or
know.
I know, especially me, saying he needs to straighten that out. He needs to get rid of that uppercut swing. And he looks well in the spring training BP that I've seen from him, even in that one game. He looks like the guy that I saw at Somerset. Going from gap to gap, which is what you want
Yeah.
to see from him. I want to see him running around the bases.
Ultimately, I would love to see Volpe in a leadoff position because he is so good on the base pass. I know that I really want Jasson Dominguez there. That's who ultimately should be the leadoff guy because the swing decisions, the plate discipline, the on base percentage, and he offers the same kind of speed that Volpe does, if not even better than Volpe.
Hmm. I mean,
But
well, I always tell my kids, man, what you want and what you get are two different things, right?
yes,
With Volpe, yes, he looks like the guy who should be a leadoff hitter, but he's just, from what I saw last season, especially, he's just not. To me, he's a guy who hits in the bottom half of the lineup, and there's nothing wrong with hitting in the bottom half of the lineup, especially if he's
no.
like hitting ninth, because that'll mean more RBI opportunities for who's ever at the top of that order.
Oh, if he could be a ninth, hit 265, 270 in ninth
Hmm.
and get on base at like 340, 340 on base
Hmm.
percentage. Oh my gosh, that's like a second leadoff hitter in front of Dominguez, Soto,
Yes.
Judge,
Yes.
Rizzo.
I'm a fan of that.
I'm
Definitely
a
a fan of that.
huge fan. I don't know. I'm
Hmm.
so excited Yankees baseball's back and we prospects are back and all that. Jackson
Um,
Fristow is a name that's been coming up.
hmm.
Everybody's been talking about him. Greg has been talking about this guy
He
since
has.
last year, and
Hmm.
this isn't a surprise to
Talking
us
about
that
him, writing about him.
right.
Hmm.
So it's just kind of funny to see that everyone's popping up on Fristow when Greg's been on him for all summer, but he's somebody to be excited about.
Absolutely. I mean, this kind of reminds you of how we've been talking about the FCL Yankee team
Yeah.
forever, and now you have all these articles coming up about out on them. But yeah, I mean, Greg has been on the Fristow bus for a long time now. So it's kind of like validation, I guess, right?
Yeah, it is.
Maybe he
He's
knows what he's
all
talking about.
I learned the hard way many years ago. He started telling me about Wisniewski and Waldachuk
Hmm.
after their first appearances. And I'm like, Wisniewski? Really?
Was he the guy in Monsters Inc.?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And
yeah, but yeah, it's good to see, man. It's good to see that the people are talking about him. I actually, I think I texted it, Greg. There was an article that came out where it was some anonymous source said that Jackson's velocity came out of nowhere, and I was like, out of nowhere. I'm like, haven't you been talking about this for like ever?
and then these articles about this FCL team. Well, you and I have been screaming
Yeah,
about this FCL team. There's
yeah,
the
we've
most
been saying that
talented team.
we've been saying there's
Yeah.
going to be five or six top whatever prospects on this team coming up soon. So it's kind of like validation, when other people start to see it.
Yeah. You got anything else you want to
Um,
get to?
well, one final update. Well, we didn't talk about Beater.
Oh,
Beater who
yeah.
looked good. 2 innings, three strikeouts, fastball sat at 95. He got it up to 97, which is impressive because last season he was mostly sitting at 93.
Right.
So very good start for him to begin the year.
Yeah, I'm excited about Beaters. I've heard some good things about him this winter. I really hope that he can stick in a rotation. But if he
Hmm.
goes to the bullpen, he's going to be really good at that also.
His
So
stuff will
I'm
play up to, yeah.
excited. Yeah, I'm excited for
Hmm.
him no matter what. And I think he's going to impact this roster this year.
I'm surprised you didn't bring up your boy Barclay.
Oh my goodness. How did I forget that? Yeah, we got to talk about that.
Hmm.
Now, you've teased me forever because the fastball just won't break glass. And you're right. It really won't. But
Uh-huh. Yeah, but it's, pitching is not just fastballs. This command,
right,
Greg Maddux did it with a 90 sitting 91, 92.
right.
So,
And
I mean,
Barclay is
and we
that
got to
kind
see
of,
with Barclay. Yeah.
yeah. He didn't give a run last year for his first six
Hmm. He
weeks,
was on
something like,
an amazing run. Yeah.
yeah. I think he can get outs at the major league level, and he's a good, crafty left-hand reliever, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, he looked good in the outing with 2 2/3 inning. He gave just 1 hit, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. It was impressive. Yeah, I tip my
Yeah,
hat to the guy. It was impressive.
I'm excited. It just, I just hope he gets a shot. But
Hmm.
so we have the
Wait, last thing for
Bryce.
me, I'll give
Oh,
a Jasson Dominguez update. He's still ahead of schedule. Monday, he took 20 swings. I think yesterday he was supposed to swing the bat again. I don't know if that happened or how many swings he took, but I know that he was scheduled for BP yesterday.
that's so exciting that he's healing so
So he is ahead of
quickly,
schedule. Hmm.
and he is ahead of schedule. I think that, I mean, could you get a better midseason trade than getting Jasson Dominguez back?
Yeah. Uh, Man, I'm
No.
excited because we were told, yeah, by July, maybe he'll be back, start his rehabbing then, which meant he would have probably maybe he would have been ready by like August, late August, something like that. But the fact that he's months ahead of schedule, awesome, awesome.
I think this is shaping up to be a great year for Yankees baseball. I haven't been this excited about the major league team and the farm system
Hmm.
in a really,
Definitely.
really long time.
It's been a while. It's been
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah. So we got the Bryce interview next week,
Hmm.
and you're gonna be heading down to spring training here soon.
I'll be heading down to spring training on Thursday, I believe. Yeah, I
So
think on
guy,
Thursday.
so guys, we're gonna have live interviews from there. We're gonna have updates from there. We're gonna get you guys the best information we can. Los, it's been fun, bud.
Always, man, always.
All right, man. We'll catch you guys
All right,
later.
guys.
Hit the like button on the way
Later.
out for us.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
And
guys.
if you're not subbed, hit that sub.
Yeah. Later, guys.